everyone, this is Rachel Younggu from the ESPN Esports Podcast. Is Overwatch the next big esport? How much has BlizzCon changed over the past few years? We break it all down on this week's podcast. Be sure to tune in.
Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Tony. Researchers in Australia discovered a new species of frog whose groin turns orange.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. I have some ointment for that.
No, you don't. It's a frog.
I do.
Frogs have nether regions?
Yes, they do.
Oh.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Virtually everything on my body has turned orange at one point or another.
You're not a frog.
And I have ointment for that.
You're starting the show in the wrong spirit.
Isn't ointment a great word? Isn't the word unguentine? Do you remember that? Unguentine was an ointment. That is a great word.
You're very old right now.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Rams turn to the rookie. The Giants might be good, and Russell Westbrook goes to the groin. It's an all-groin show. But we begin today with acrimony between LeBron James and Phil Jackson. Specifically, James and his longtime friend and business advisor, Maverick Carter, are disgusted with Jackson's dismissive comment in an interview with Jackie McMullen. Jackson was talking about an alleged incident of privilege in Miami when LeBron was still there, and Jackson referred to LeBron's, quote, posse, unquote. This word steamed LeBron and Carter, who felt it was manifestly disrespectful. LeBron then said of Phil Jackson, quote, I believe the only reason he used that wording is because it's young African Americans trying to make a difference, unquote. Will are Maverick Carter and LeBron James right to take exception to Phil Jackson's wording?
I don't know, Tony. There's a lot of gray area, and I'm going to go to that. I know Maverick Carter. We're friends. And Maverick Carter is not a knee-jerk reactor. Maverick Carter is thoughtful, and he is precise with the language. And this is a word. In language, there are words that over the last 20 years have steamed me and made me want to hit somebody. And you know when I've reacted that way. The word posse doesn't have that effect on me, but I'm 25 years older than Maverick Carter and LeBron James. And language changes, it evolves. And maybe we need to listen to this. If it offends them, Phil needs to listen, and maybe there needs to be some dialogue. The word doesn't do that to me, but again, Maverick Carter and LeBron James, they're thoughtful, and I don't think they come after people unnecessarily. This offended them, and I think when it comes to language like this, like the use of redskin, people can't just say it doesn't offend me. People have to listen and have some dialogue.
This is interesting to me because I'm even older than you. So the word posse, I didn't see in any racial context whatsoever. I thought it meant people who were hangers-on, and maybe they're just because they're...
Boxers had this regardless of race, and we're old enough to remember that, but they're not that old.
I didn't get the posse thing at all. But in the context, as it's explained to me now, well, then I understand it.
Yeah.
So I understand it. And I think Phil, who's a really smart guy, and my age, if you told it to him in this context, he would say, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have used that word. By the same token, I look at LeBron James, and to me, this is an overreaction because he slams Phil. I mean, that extended quote slams Phil, who was the coach of Michael Jordan, and Kobe Bryant. Okay. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe in the context of the recent election, maybe people's nerves are on edge a little bit. Maybe words are standing for something more than they normally would stand for, because LeBron he's carried himself with distinction all the way along the line.
Yes.
This seems a little overreacting to me, but maybe I'm old. I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking of. Maybe I'm old. The word itself doesn't do it. Well, there are other words, by the way. There are other words that set me off that might not set them off. Yeah. And here's the other thing. I'm going to say this to Maverick and LeBron, and I'd say this if we were sitting around somewhere in Cleveland talking. Phil Jackson's not that guy.
That's what I thought.
There are some people who are that guy, and that would set me off.
And he's not.
Phil Jackson, from me, as an older African-American, gets a benefit of the doubt that others would not get. Yeah, now, they don't have to extend them that. They're grown men. They can do what they want.
I'll say this. The way the word was used, forget the word.
The context.
The comment was dismissive and demeaning in and of itself.
By the way, I wrote down dismissive. It was dismissive.
It was that. But I didn't think it'd go, I didn't see the word. Now I do.
You know what?
Get it.
Every few years, you have to reassess what language is doing.
But again,
you have to do it.
I think
have to be contemporary.
I think the prism of this recent election has put everybody right out on the surface.
That's a great observation. Yeah. Let's move from a story of actual cultural weight to sports talk radio nonsense.
Yeah, that's where I make money.
I'm sure.
Yeah, baby.
All the dopes out there who pretend to care who starts at quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams, please. Well, you're about to get your wish. Jared Goff, the overall #1 pick in the draft, but a clipboard-toting backup through 9 games, has been named Sunday starter. So Case Keenum is out because the Rams offense is next to last in the league, and Goff is in because what the hell?
Absolutely.
Tony, simple question. Is Jeff Fisher doing the right thing?
I think I speak for both of us when I say I don't really know. This comes out of the blue. Let's review for a second. Jared Goff plays never. And every time the Rams are asked about him, they say something like, we don't feel he's ready yet. We're not going to put him in until he's ready. Then they say, to get a little bit of cover, we're still in the pennant race. We got a shot at the playoffs, so we're not going to do anything. But they're still due because they won. They won on Sunday. Yeah. So they're still in
Despite
it. So
what?
Despite
not scoring a touchdown?
Right, they don't score a touchdown. But they've done that before and haven't put this kid in.
Right.
I thought the sure thing in the draft was that he was a bust, because that was the indication. So
maybe Fisher wants to keep him from being a bust. That's sort of his job.
So I don't know. What do you think?
It's the right thing based on what happened Sunday, right? If the kid plays well, it's the right thing. If he stinks the joint out, it's the wrong thing. This is a result-oriented and result-based business that coaches are in.
Don't you think they're putting enormous pressure on this kid?
No, it's week 27.
No.
What are you talking about?
Miami, at New Orleans, at New England, the next three. At some point, it's Seattle in a game. He's not going to survive that one.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Who had expectations? Who in Vegas was running around touting the Rams to be the NFC entrant in the Super Bowl?
Exactly nobody.
Exactly nobody. He's got to play at some point.
Why?
He's giving them cover.
Wait.
You said that.
What did Case Keenum do wrong? Did he insult Stan Kroenke?
31st.
Did he date a Kardashian? What did he do? They won the game. What did he do?
That would make him tens of millions of dollars, maybe hundreds. Tony, they
really
can't score.
This.
So you put this guy in to see if he's any better.
And if he can't score, you destroy him. No,
not
you destroy him.
He's just like the other guy.
The New York Football Giants barely beat the Cincinnati Bengals last night, 21-20. And to get there, the Giants had to go on 4th and 2, and Eli Manning threw a touchdown pass to Sterling Shepard. Odell Beckham had a touchdown as well on a nifty spin move and caught 10 passes for 97 yards. Beckham talked afterwards about not wanting any more fines and actually being quiet by nature. LeBron, what do you think about Beckham? And what do you think about the 6-3 Giants?
Nothing that happened last night changes my view of Beckham. He's a great player.
You want him on your team.
Who is also often a nuisance.
A narcissist.
And by the way,
he's a narcissist.
In the times I've sort of been around him, and it's been a few times I've run into him, he is quiet.
Pleasant.
He's pleasant and he's quiet.
Yeah,
and then he goes into this superhero, which, look, every wide receiver since Jerry Rice has tried to call attention to himself.
That's right.
Me. That's what they do.
Right.
They're a genre. And so he's a great player. He's sometimes a nuisance, and the Giants, don't ask me to judge him yet because I don't believe in him.
A kid who dyes his hair blonde like that and is in every commercial known to mankind that he can get in is not going to hide his light under a basket. So if he's by nature shy, he's doing a good job of fooling.
He said quiet. He didn't say shy.
Whatever.
Quiet.
They go together. Okay, let me get to the Giants. The Giants are specifically underwhelming. The Giants win. Do you know the Giants have been outscored on the year? They have given up more points than they've scored. So there's 6 wins. Cowboys by 1. Saints by 3. Ravens by 4, Rams by 7, Eagles by 5, Bengals by 1.
Of steel.
They could lose every
nerves of steel.
Every one of those games could have gone the other way.
Yeah.
Now, they have your Bears and they have the pathetic Browns.
That can't go either way.
So that's 8-3.
That's 2 wins.
That's 8-3.
Yeah.
But let me give you the last 5 and tell me how many they're definitely going to win. At Steelers, you like that?
Maybe.
Cowboys.
Maybe not.
Lions.
W.
At Eagles.
Loss.
At Redskins. Conceivably lose 4 or 5.
Loss.
So we don't know yet.
We don't know.
We don't know.
I said at the beginning, I don't trust the Giants yet. Every year they're out of the playoffs, they miss it. They miss.
When they're in it, but they win it.
But they got 2 coming. They got
Eli
2
Manning
W's,
wins
2 automatic homecoming opponents.
Bears and Browns.
Bears, Browns.
That's right.
USA Today stirred up a little trouble this morning, connecting criticisms uttered by veteran quarterbacks Ben Roethlisberger and Aaron Rodgers to their respective coaches being in trouble. Each coach has won a Super Bowl and reached another, but each coach's team is 4-5 right now amid bigger expectations. Big Ben says his Steelers are undisciplined and not accountable.
What does that mean?
While Rodgers ripped his team's sense of urgency and focus.
What does that mean?
Tony, are these general criticisms voiced by franchise quarterbacks touching on themes that could get either coach fired?
Well, let me say something to you.
You're fired.
That if McCarthy and Tomlin were fired tonight at 9 o'clock at night, by 6 in the morning, they'd have jobs. Because they're really good.
Yeah.
Because they've won Super Bowls. And this is what happens. This is what happens to quarterbacks of stature in the main. They're looking at a team that's losing. They're playing pretty well. They don't really get what's going on, so they start coaching the team. They start saying things like, we've lost our focus and we need more urgency and people have to be held accountable. These are just nonsensical words that mean nothing.
I don't hear you criticize Tom Brady when he screams at everybody on the field and sideline.
Tom Brady does it in the game and never does it in front of the media. Never does it. Has everybody's back in front of the media.
The media's watching the games. He's screaming at everybody.
It's completely different. He never badmouths anybody on the team in this way. Would you fire Tomlin?
Hell no.
Would you fire McCarthy?
No, but I will say this. Tomlin's owners aren't going to fire him because that's not what they do. Historically, look at the Steelers, how many coaches they've had. Now, McCarthy's another story. It seems like there's something brewing there. It does. And by the way, look, the only person in the field of play every day who's even more invested and there's more pressure on than the coach is the quarterback. Aaron Rodgers and Ben Roethlisberger.
Both of them are Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And they're going to get blamed on sports talk radio if their teams aren't any good. And so if they take out after the team, good for them. In both cases,
it could be leadership.
I don't know about Pittsburgh, though. I don't think Pittsburgh's defense is good. Green Bay's defense was absent completely. Ooh, that's not Rodgers' side of the ball, and that's not Roethlisberger's side of the ball.
They can call people out. If not them, who? You want the backup defensive back? You want the long snapper calling people out?
Don't you like it? Didn't you for years and years and years say, I like when a quarterback says, I've got to get better.
Both those guys do that. They both do that all the time.
Russell Westbrook was called for a technical foul last night for completing a jump shot by kicking his left foot into the groin of Kentavious Caldwell.
Get off me, Holmes. Get off me.
This is being referred to as a Draymond call because Draymond Green so often sticks his feet and his arms where they don't belong. Wilbon, did Russell Westbrook deserve a technical on this particular play?
Only in this context. If there's a league edict, a directive, and you're saying, you know what, we just want to get rid of feet flying in every direction because it's going to cost something
player
one
safety.
Day. And so, not player safety.
Player safety.
If you want to get rid of it for a bigger reason, then you can start calling techs on anybody who flails. No, that's not a tech. Russell Westbrook is clearly looking at the rim and focusing on his shot, and he does go up with his feet out like that, and you can call the foul. People call fouls. He wasn't. Don't tell me that was intentional. Don't tell me that there was some egregious thing Westbrook did.
Okay, so I will give you the case for why it is intentional. He feels the contact on his right leg that's going to get a call as he goes up in the air, and he knows that, and he's angry. And he says, you know what, I'm just going to kick my legs back. I don't know where I'm going to hit him, but I hope I hit him.
He doesn't do
well,
that.
I don't, you know what? I'm not Freud, and I'm not looking
really,
into the psyche.
Really, because you play one 6
I'm
days
saying
a week.
On this particular case,
Freudian.
that would be the case for the technical foul. I don't think it's a Draymond Green call. I think it's more like a Kobe Bryant call. Kobe would go up in the air and smack people with his hands and kick his legs out.
How many great shooters don't do it anymore?
Well, this is what they do.
I guess Curry
I would not have given him a technical foul in this particular call. But can I broaden this out a little bit? Because you have the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, they're losing some close games.
Yeah, they were 6-1, and you looked smart, and now they're 6-5. How you feeling?
I feel fine.
You still think they'll be there?
I feel fine. I mean, the Spurs lost 3 games in a row at home, and they had to.
So you still think they'll be there?
I'm still good with Oklahoma.
Let's take a break. Coming up, now who's leading the race for NFL MVP, Tom Brady or Ezekiel Elliott?
And could the 10-1, wait for it, Clippers actually be better than the Dubs? Toss-up is next.
So you don't have them in, the Clippers?
No, but I'd like that.
You got the Thunder.
Because I root for the Clippers.
I know you do because of Doc.
Yes.
College football lives here.
Second and goal from just inside the 10. Little play fake. He's looking to throw. He gets drilled.
It's an SEC West showdown in Starkville, Mississippi, when Arkansas faces Mississippi State.
Flags on the play downfield. It's intercepted.
Coverage begins Saturday at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPNU.
It is time for Toss Up. You are looking at the winner. What's first?
Toss Up. Who's your MVP now? Tom Brady or Ezekiel Elliott?
Here's a case I'm going to make for Ezekiel Elliott, okay? He's leading the NFL in rushing. He's the first guy to over 1,000 yards. He's got 9 rushing touchdowns, including the game winner the other night against Pittsburgh. He's averaging 112 yards a game, which is the best in the league. The biggest case I make, he's played all the games.
Yeah.
Tom Brady is 4-1 or 3-1 in the games that he has played. Yeah. This kid is 8-1 in the games he played. Now, I'd vote for Brady because the position is harder, but that's my Elliott case.
Here's the Elliott case. He looks like Emmitt Smith That's the Elliott case. I mean, if you're doing something and you're wearing that uniform and you remind people of Emmitt Smith,
right?
In my book, one of the 5 greatest running backs of all time, and I know you don't disagree.
Oh, yeah, no, not at all.
Then that's the case, and I'd be voting for Tom Brady.
Yeah, John Wall will put on his jersey next week. That's what'll happen.
I got to go up to John Wall. Tom Brady. You don't need numbers. Try to use the eye test occasionally, people. But who's the best team still in the NFL?
All the games.
The New England Patriots still.
Next.
Despite Brady losing.
Next.
Toss-up best in the West, the Clippers or the Warriors?
The record says it's the Clippers. They are 10-1. The Warriors are 6-2. I need to point out that the Clippers have not played 8-2. The Clippers have not played the Warriors or Cleveland, the 2 teams they would have to go through to win a title. So what I'm going to say is that when they play the Warriors, I'll have a much more definitive answer, and I think it'll be the other way. But I'm content to say that right now it may well be the Clippers.
Yes, right now it is the Clippers. They got the best record, Tony, and they look and feel a little different. And I know the Clippers have been snake bit by 2 things. One, their own ridiculousness a couple of times in the playoffs, one with a 3-1 lead with a Game 7 at home against Houston. And the other one, Tony, is that they just unravel.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin's done something stupid or this guy's done something dumb, but they seem to be playing now with a spirit
Warriors
and
beat
a
them by
chemistry
150
in the
preseason.
Oh, my God.
Killed them beyond words.
Tony, they have what it takes to beat those
So you say
other
right
teams.
now?
Right now it's the Clippers.
But we
reserve judgment, as they say.
Next.
Toss-up, who would you rather see win tonight, Kentucky or Michigan State?
I had no idea it was college basketball season until last night when I found out the Binghamton Bearcats.
What'd you do?
We went to St. John's. We lost by a respectable margin.
Okay.
It spoiled our unbeaten dream.
Okay.
Because I thought maybe we'd go 28-0 this year. In this particular context, my tendency is to say I root for Michigan State because they schedule so hard in the early part of the season. Here's 3 of their first 6 games: Arizona, Kentucky, and at Duke. I don't want to make it into a good guy, bad guy thing.
Neither one of these hide from anybody. They go play people.
But my tendency is to just say Michigan State is a reward.
Look,
but I like Calipari, so I don't care.
I'm a Big Ten guy, so let's just
so
get right past who I'm rooting for.
All right.
I do care. But, Tony, I'm just going to give people some folks to watch for tonight, some young names they might not have heard. Michigan State has Miles Bridges. He's a Flintstonian. He's from
these
right
diaper
there.
dandies?
Flint, Michigan.
Are these diaper dandies?
Kentucky, Malik Monk. Isn't that a great name?
Whoa,
Malik
freshman
Monk.
of the year.
Duke, Frank Jackson, and Kansas, Josh Jackson.
Have you seen any of these people?
A flyer.
Have you seen?
I've seen clips of 3
You're
of
reading
the
names
4.
now.
I've not seen Malik Monk yet, but I want to see him.
I've seen Thelonious Monk.
I'm going to Georgetown, Maryland tonight to celebrate the start of college basketball.
You.
You there?
I'll be watching.
It's right down the street.
I'll be watching.
You can walk there.
Next.
How lame
Last
are you?
one, toss-up manager of the year is awarded tonight. Who was better, Joe Madden or Terry Francona?
Here's the case for Terry Francona. His players aren't as good as Madden's players. His best player played only 11 games this year.
Shortstop might be the best all-around player in the American League.
He lost people to PED suspensions.
Two-time Cy Young
lost
winner.
people to injuries. And one of his pitchers had a drone accident. Okay? The hardest thing to do is win when you're expected to win. Joe Madden won the most. He had the horses. He rode them well. Yeah. He won the most games. He won the World Series. The answer is Joe Madden.
They're both going to win Manager of the Year in their respective leagues, I would think.
Oh, I thought there was just
And
one.
let me just say this. You're not paying attention to Cleveland and the back end of that staff and the bullpen and Andrew Miller. They got great players. And here's the case to me when you don't have the expectations quite so much is because people don't think you're as good, and you are as good. Nobody was betting on Cleveland. When October 1 started, no one bet on Cleveland.
If you had to pick between 2 of them, which was the question, I said I would pick Madden.
I think when you have players and expectations, it's harder at times.
You meet them.
They're both going to get it. They both deserve it.
That's it.
Both.
Let's take one last break.
Madden.
That wasn't the question.
Francona.
Still to come.
Joe.
With RG3 on his
Tito.
way back. Wow, will the 0-10 Browns stick him back in the lineup?
And can Team USA pull off the win?
What is that?
Down
What exactly
in Costa
is that?
Rica tonight.
Is that a Lippins or Stallion workout? What was that?
A what?
Lippins or Stallions. They, the horses that go over the gates?
No.
Didn't you ever go to horse shows when you were a kid?
College football lives here. The Big 12 needed chaos on the road to the playoff, and that's what it got.
Take it all the way for a touchdown. Wow!
Now we head to a critical showdown in Morgantown. Huge Big 12 title implications are on the line.
He's gone. Touchdown. Samaje Perine, a 72-yard run.
Coverage begins Saturday at 7 Eastern on ABC and on ESPN Radio.
Happy time, people. Happy 21st birthday, Karl Anthony Towns. Towns and Anthony Davis are the growth stocks of young big men in the NBA. In his second year, Towns is averaging 22 points, 9 rebounds, and shooting 50%. The only question for his immediate future is whether Tom Thibodeau plays him so many minutes that his bones grind into dust.
No, he's not going to do that, but I'm going to say this. Wiggins and Towns and Levine, that's why you want to watch them. I know they're 3-6, but it's a long season.
Not so happy anniversary, Peyton Manning. On this day last year, Gary Kubiak replaced you in the third quarter after you posted a Blutarski 0.0 passer rating against the Chiefs. Manning would go on to miss the next 6 games with a partially torn plantar fascia. But how did that work out? Manning won the Super Bowl as your boy Brock Osweiler sat on his can on the bench.
Well, that's why Brock probably went to Houston. More money, and he could get away from that, which I'm sure angered him. You'd be angry, too.
Absolutely. I'm angry at you.
I know.
Happy trails, Blair Walsh, not Blair Witch, Blair Walsh. The veteran Vikings kicker released today. Walsh had the worst extra point percentage in the NFL this season, and he is remembered without fondness for missing a late 27-yard field goal last season that allowed Seattle to advance. It should be noted that the Vikings haven't cratered this year because of Blair Walsh. It's a team effort.
It's only the second worst kick in Vikings history. Gary Anderson from 38 yards to get to the Super Bowl. They were 15-1 that year with Randall Cunningham. He had made 35 in a row or something. Missed it.
Yeah. That was bad.
Yeah.
No errors today. Let's go to the big finish.
Let's do it.
The UConn women narrowly continued their 76-game winning streak last night. Do you think it will end soon?
Well, they host Baylor, which is number 2, Thursday in stores. It could end. They're still going to wind up being one of the 4 best teams, if not higher than that, in the country. It's what they do. Butch Davis leaving ESPN to become head coach of Florida International. Is that a good move?
He's a head coach in the NFL, head coach at DU, got real credentials. FIU.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have expected that. Raptors and Cavs tonight. Is that a big game?
It's an appealing game to me, but you can't. It's a big game in the NBA in November now. Robert Griffin III could return to practice for the Browns as early as tomorrow. Is that a big deal?
When he's healthy, he's going right into play. He was their number 1 guy. This isn't Romo. He's going into play. Last one, USA at Costa Rica tonight in a World Cup qualifier. Who you got?
You know what the U.S. has lost 0-8-1 in qualifiers, World Cup qualifiers in Costa Rica?
Not good.
What does that suggest?
Suggests they're going to
You'll be at home. You're not going to basketball. You can watch it and break it down tomorrow.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. And I'm Tony Kornheiser.
Break it down, TK. I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. Check us out on iTunes.
Good night, Canada.
Hoyas Terps.
PTI.
Oklahoma and West Virginia go head-to-head in Morgantown this Saturday night. Huge Big 12 title implications are on the line.
72-yard run.
Coverage begins at 7 Eastern on ABC and on ESPN Radio.